Welcome back, one and all, to my assignment that just passed. I just handed it in, just because, just in case somebody looks it up and finds the code and uses it to hand in on their assignment. But anyways, so let's try running it down here, shall we? So we'll just execute it. And this game is called Roll of the Dice. So you hit R to roll the dice, or you can hit capital R to roll it. And what will happen is it will produce a random generated number between 1 and 6. Because there's like 6 faces to a die. And then what it will do is it will clear the screen. Then it will display the, my ASCII character dice, as well as the number it's supposed to represent. Hopefully everything's good. So all it does, if you hit like something that's not, Q or R related, just beeps at you telling you, hey, idiot, hey, R or Q. So that's all it does, is just kind of resets itself every time, redrawing the dice and constantly going back and forth. So let's quit and let's take a look at the program. Bye, everybody. So we'll just kind of go in here, and here we are. Thought about zooming in, but that screws up my computer and causes my screen to go blank and stuff like that. So I figured it's just easier to I took some stuff out of here. Let's define, what did I call it? Dot equaling to 111, which is an O, I believe. So we got the standard IO stream for output time, because we're going to need the time function to see the randomness, and C standard library, I believe, for some reason. It's for the random function, but my professor said to use it, but I mean it's included in the IO stream, so it's not like it matters. So anyways, we have a few defines here. Dot, which is just the dot value in to display the dot in the faces of the dice. Roll, which is a define that is just a math equation. So here we go, we pick a random number, then we modulate it by 6. If you don't know what modulation does, what it does is it's the same as division, but it takes the remainder. So what it's going to do is it's going to generate any number within range, and then it's going to divide it by 6, and then whatever is left over, whatever the remainder of the value is, which should be between 0 and 5, will come out when you modulate it. So you can only do integer modulation, don't do it on a float. So if, say, the number was 225, say the number was 11, just for simplicity. What's going to happen is modulating it is going to be, so you can divide 6 into 11 once, and the remainder is 5. So the answer of this modulation will be 5. Say it was 10, then it would be 4, because the remainder is 4. And then we just add 1, because since it includes 0, and we don't want it includes 0 to 5, but we actually want to include 1 to 6, we add just 1. So that's why that's there. It doesn't do anything fancy. Then I use a two-dimensional array, which I'm not going to explain in any way. And we use integer values to display a character two-dimensional array that is casted to characters, integers that are casted to characters, to produce the image of a dice. And the inside of the dice is filled with nothing. So it's just a blank dice, no face. So what this function does is it takes face value, which is the integer determined by the rolling dice, comes into a switch statement, and it takes using the switch statement, it counts whatever die was chosen between 1 and 6, and then it just replaces the appropriate index in the two-dimensional array with all the dots to set it up. That's basically all this is doing. And then you have an error here just for no reason. It should never do that anyways. Then all it does is use a double for loop, so it loops through the rows and then through the columns, displaying it. Once all the columns have been displayed, enter a new line, repeat the next row, do column all over again, and that just loops through my dice two-dimensional array right there, creating the dice with the proper face value. So that's all just to create the face, and then it returns the number, returns the face value. That's all that does, nothing fancy. So here's main. This is where everything's playing. This is where all the main game happens. So here, it's just a thing to, if the player wants to continue playing, just simply change the color to make the dice stand out a little more. The color of the prompt. Here we seed the random function with a constantly changing number, which is the time, and seed it with null, which is nothing. Then in a giant while loop, a do while loop that starts here and ends when the player no longer wants to continue. Now you have to check for sorry. You have to check to see if it's R, because if you check to see it's Q, it can't be one or the other. It's something screws up. So you have to check for R. Oh yeah, if one of them's little q, then it will continue, because they both have to be false for it to continue, but as long as one is true, it will continue. So we come in here, we clear the screen of all data, starting fresh, display the top of the title. Then we draw our dice with the function I just showed you, sending in that random function that passes in the random values in between 1 to 6, and that draws our dice value. And then I just did this simply because I hate spending memory if I don't have to, so it just displays the integer value after the dice have been drawn at the bottom there, as you see. Prompt the user to play again, yes, no, quit. If while continue playing is not equal to any of the options that are required, whether it be little q, big Q, little r, display an error message in the prompt again until you get the proper response. Once you've gotten R, do it again and continue doing it. If you get a Q though, break out, thank everybody, and say goodbye. So let's check this one more time, shall we? We'll compile it here. And the fancy little game. The next one's a little fancier. You might be a little more impressed with the next one. So there it is. So let's continue rolling. Roll, roll, mothers, roll. Snake eyes. Well, that wasn't snake eyes, but anyways, that's all it does. So let's get the hell out of here. So if there's any questions, let me know, and hopefully you've enjoyed. Bye now.